Hello, everybody, and welcome to your English class. On this video, I'm going to explain to you the past simple tense. Ready? Okay, here we go. Look at this comparative chart. It is a summary of the conjugation, and as you can see, we have some present sentences in affirmative, negative, and question form, and past sentences in affirmative, negative, and question form. Pay attention to the verbs. You live in Spain. That's it. That is said in present. You lived in Spain. In present, remember there is a change in the third person singular. The conjugation is he lives in Spain. Notice the past. He lived in Spain. As you can see then, the verb in affirmative changes and only changes in affirmative. Then the second form is a negative. Look, if in present we use the auxiliary verb don't plus the verb in base form, you don't live in Spain. And with the third person singular, we use the auxiliary verb doesn't with the base form of the verb, he doesn't live in Spain. In negative, we use the past tense of don't, which is didn't. I mean, did in past. Do in present or do in the base form, did in past. Then the same happens in the third person. He doesn't live, and the past form is didn't. He didn't live in Spain. The question form, look at the auxiliary verb, remains the same. Is the same auxiliary verb that in present, do, just in past. Did you live in Spain? And for the third person, keeps the same thing. Like, does he live in Spain? And did he live in Spain? So you can notice then, in both cases, in negative and question forms, the verb doesn't change. And we use the base form then. Good, right? I mean, this is easy to remember because if we know how to conjugate in present, then we can. Now, these are the general rules. In affirmative, we say I started, you started, he started, she started, it started, we started, you started, they started. The ending, ed. That's the regular verbs conjugation. In negative, as I said before, we need an auxiliary verb. In this case, did not, did, and negative not, and the verb remains the same, start. I did not start, you did not start, he did not start. In construction form, I didn't start, you didn't start, he didn't start, she didn't start. Okay? And the question form, we need the auxiliary verb did, then the subject, and guess what? The verb in the same, in the base form. Okay? Isn't this cool? Yeah, I love it. Cool. Now look at this long chart. For making yes no questions, if in present we say, do you like surprises? And we answer with a yes, I do, or no, I don't. In past, we then use the past auxiliary verb, did you like my surprise? And the answer will use the same auxiliary verb. Yes, I did, or negative, no, I didn't. Now notice that all my questions are made with the auxiliary verb and the verb in the base form. Did I pass the test? Did I make the mistake? Did you and John study? Did you both like? Did they marry? Did Mike and Jack pay? Did he answer? Did Steve enjoy? Did Mary finish? Did it rain? Did your dog bite? And the answers will only need then the affirmative form of the verb, of the auxiliary verb. Yes, you did. Yes, I did. Yes, we did. Yes, they did. Yes, he did. Yes, she did. Yes, he did. For all the subjects, or in the case that I mean, in the negative case, you no, you didn't. No, I didn't. No, we didn't. No, you didn't. No, he didn't. No, she didn't. No, he didn't. With the auxiliary verb, didn't. Okay, double affirmative. Yes, and did. Double negative. No, and didn't. Ha! This is easy to remember, isn't it? But there are some spelling rules for those regular verbs. The first general rule that I mentioned before is to add ed to the base form of the verb. For example, walk, walked, and played. Some verbs that end in e, we simply add d, like in the case of like, liked, and move, moved. But for those verbs that end in a consonant plus y, like the case of carry and study, I change the y for an I, and I will say carried and studied. Okay, and some verbs also end in a single consonant, and the second last letter is a vowel, like the case of plan and stop. I'm going to double the last consonant and ed, and add ed, sorry. So I have plan, planned, and stop, stopped. Not that bad to remember. I mean, not super easy, but not that hard. Okay, let's. However, some verbs are irregular. Oh. That means that we need to memorize them or to learn them by heart. Like in the following cases: bring, brought, win, won, go, went, tell, told, do, did, drink, drank, teach, taught, run, ran, make, made. There might not be a pattern to follow here, and that is why you need to memorize it. And some verbs stay the same, like in the cases of hit, which are irregular, of course. Hit, hit, quit, quit, cost, cost, hurt, hurt, cut, cut, and put, put. These are easier to remember, right? And do not forget that the most irregular verb in past is the verb be. Remember that in present, be is, are, is. Well, there are three conjugations in present. In past, there are two, was and were. When do I use was? In the subjects, with the subjects I, he, she, it. Notice that they are singular. And when do I use were? With you, we, they. Now remember that you can be singular and plural. However, we're going to make no difference in the conjugation of be in past, and we're going then to use were for the plural subjects and use singular. Okay, so I was gone, he was gone, he was in the garden, he was late, and it was rainy, and you were tired, we were on holiday, and they were hungry. The negative form is easy. Just like in present, we simply add a not. In past, I'm going to say I was not sleepy, you were not on the bus, he was not at school, he was not ugly, it was not hot, we were not at work, and they were not tired. What did I add? Simply a not. I can then contract that not and my verb, and that is the short form of negative. I wasn't sleepy, you weren't on the bus, he wasn't at school, he wasn't ugly, it wasn't hot, we weren't at work, and you weren't tired. Cool, isn't it? And the question form, you might remember, I simply changed the order of the subject and the verb of the affirmative. And I will say, was I cold? Were you tired? Was he in the garden? Was he late? Was it rainy? Were we on holiday? Were they hungry? What? Well, yeah. As I said, uh, the verb be has its own rules. So don't forget them. And finally, questions with who. And look at the following example. Who did you go with? My subject is you. Who did she meet? My subject is she. In this case, I'm not looking or I'm not asking for any for the subject. I'm asking for another person besides the subject. But when I want to ask for the subject, like in the example, who didn't flush the toilet? Notice that didn't flush has the verb in past. In this case, is negative. The conjugation is in the auxiliary verb. And who didn't flush the toilet then? You. And my last example, when someone pops in your life making you happy, you ask, who sent you? And notice that the verb is already conjugated, sorry, and there is no subject. You here is not the subject. This you is the object, like the toilet. I mean, they are the direct and indirect object of the sentence. They are not the doer of the action. Okay, of the action. Okay, so that got it. If that's the case, you're awesome. Good.